What's going on, Sister Sherry? Ball family, good morning. What's going on, Minister Dyer? Miss Althea? Kim Tone. What's going on, Kim? Sister Angie Ridgel, what's going on? What's up, cousin Keena? How you doing this morning, man? Brother Leroy, Sister Valerie, Miss Isabel, Miss Laura Wilson. What's going on, Mother Heather Lynn Cross? Good morning. Deacon Lloyd, Deacon Hilliard, Mr. Greg Spearman. Good morning, everybody. What's going on, Sister Pettigrew? What's going on, Sister Deborah Williamson and Williamson family? Good morning, good morning, good morning, people. Willingham, Sister Jacelyn, Jalon, Miss Catherine, Miss Sean. Good morning to everybody. We will got 6:31, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Prayerfully, everybody is having a blessed and prosperous day. Man, we are just grateful for everything that God is doing. And I will be honest with you all. Every now and then, what's going on, Marissa Pulley? I know y'all out there at the park getting it in right now. Y'all out there getting it in right now. For those of y'all that don't know, man, Marissa is off the chain. She's a trainer extraordinaire. But anyway, that's beside the point. Uh, just want to say good morning to everybody, and just wanted to share. Well, cousin Keena, come on down here. Come on and visit. Come on and visit. We'd love to have you come. Now you can't bring some sweets. I'm trying to we in maintain don't gain season right now, and I'm trying to maintain. Well, I'm trying to lose actually, and so yeah, you can't bring the sweets with you. You can come and you can get some gluten free, vegan, taste free, sugar free, goodness free products from my household, but you can't bring any of those cakes and whatnots unless we sneak them in the back door. But anyway, yeah, I know she working y'all out good out there. What's going on, Dr. Hill? Mr. Chines, I know she working y'all out good. Yep, Chris said Marissa really is the bomb. Okay, so this morning, what I want to do, I want to talk a little bit about deja vu, and the new Matrix is coming out, and the new Matrix, I think that was in the first Matrix. I never watched the Matrix trilogy, but there was a reference to deja vu in the first Matrix, and so I think I might have to go ahead and catch my Matrixes or Matrices, whatever you want to call them, all three of them, the trilogies, before I watch the new one. Whenever that's going to happen, it probably happen during the Christmas break. But I do want to, it's life has patterns to it. It has a rhythm to it. There are certain, it's cyclical. We see it in the creation story. We see that God has established seasons and times. We see it in Ecclesiastes chapter 3 and throughout other verses, passages, and stories in the Bible, where there is this cycle that life is on. And so there are certain events and certain things that come about every so often. And it can seem as though it is deja vu. It can seem as though we're going through the same thing, or we've experienced before what we're experiencing in that moment because of the rhythmic nature of life. But sometimes God does bring us back to the same situation. And this is especially true in Numbers chapter 20, right at the end of the children of Israel's journey through through the wilderness as they were entering to the promised land. They had another issue with water, and there was a rock involved again. In Exodus chapter 17, we see that God told Moses to strike the rock, and Moses struck the rock. We see that the people complained and they grumbled against God and against Moses. and God graciously gave them water. Moses struck the rock, and and they say, you let brought us out here to die, we're gonna die, blah blah blah. And then almost a generation later, the same situation arose. Um, what does that mean for us? Is that we will face the same situations over and over again in life. In Numbers chapter 20, the people of Israel find themselves again thirsty, needing something to drink. And Moses finds himself in an all but familiar place, sandwiched between God and the people. You talk about it, man. That is Moses' job is one of the most. When I read the Bible, he had one of the most difficult assignments in the Bible. He had one of the most difficult assignments in the Bible. As I read his story, but a familiar scene. And towards the end of their time, um, the Lord was like, I'm tired of this. Um, how many times do I have to prove to you that I'm able? That there are certain times, you all, where we should not be grumbling and complaining because God has done more than enough to prove that He's able. He has been far too faithful and far too good for us to sit in certain situations that we have faced before and to um, throw accusations, to hurl things at God as if He does not know what He's doing, or as if He is incapable of dealing with our problems and our situation. This happened again, and we see this all throughout the wilderness wandering, and especially as it pertains to water, as it pertains to their necessities, as it pertains to what they were going to eat and drink, that they constantly did not trust and believe God. And at this moment right here, it had come to a head. In this instance, we get two failures for the price of one. You get the failure of the people and they're just complete rejection, and they completely ignored what God had previously done, and everything that God had done, they completely ignored and forgot, or they have forgotten about it, and they accused God constantly of the same things over and over again in the wilderness. They have forgotten. It's like that amnesia that we have, and that whenever we face a particular situation, we forget the faithfulness and the goodness of God, and it's so easy to happen to us. I mean, is there anybody out there? Has any of you have any of you struggled in one season of life, forgetting God's faithfulness in a previous season of life? Have you ever struggled in forgetting God's faithfulness? And this is extremely challenging to us because the present can seem so pressing that we have the tendency to overlook the past movements of God in our lives. And we're all guilty of it to some degree. All of us, if we could be honest, if you could be honest, there have been times where God has proven Himself to you, and then we get into new situations and we act as though God's arm is somehow shortened, or He is unable to do what we need Him to do in the given situation or circumstance. And just as a side note testimony, for me, when we moved down here to Florida, I felt that way. especially as it became particularly difficult at the end of 2010. No, at the end of 2009, the word that the Lord gave me was in Malachi, where He says, "I am the Lord, and I change not." And my concern with God was we were starting to get established in Kentucky, then you moved us. And we were starting to get established in Tennessee, then you moved us. We were starting to get established in Dallas, then you moved us. And then at that moment in 2009, I felt like the Lord was getting ready I knew He was getting ready to do something else. Um, and I did not like it. I was like, Lord, why do you keep moving us? Why do you keep changing our situation? Why do you keep doing these things? And basically, the Lord said in Malachi, I am the Lord and I change not. I do not change. What I've done in one place, I can do the same in another. Don't hem me in to a certain location in your current set of circumstances when He's proven over and over again that He is completely faithful and reliable in our lives. But these people had gotten spiritual amnesia and they started grumbling and complaining against God. Against Moses and God, but and Moses is no better. After 40 years, after all that, Moses had gotten tired. He had gotten frustrated. And so where the people's sin was not acknowledging and they were faithless and not trusting God, Moses' sin was something different. Moses responded in frustration, and in doing so, God told him to speak to the rock. And Moses took the staff, and what he said to the folk, he said, "Look at you rebels." I mean, Moses was hot mad. He was hot mad. And he took it, he took the staff, and instead of speaking, he struck it twice. And what he did was he got in the way of God's glory. That whenever we want the attention to be on us versus it being on God, God does not take that lightly. Whenever I want the attention to be on me versus being on God, God does not take that lightly. Yes, we can be used by God. Yes, God can get glory out of us. Yes, we are blessed and benefited because of our proximity to God. But we must take this, be very, very careful that God does not play with His glory. And the alt He had against Moses, He said, "You did not hallow my name in the presence of the people. You tampered with my glory. You made it about you and your frustration versus it being about God and His glory." He did not hallow God's name. And when we read this, you all, this is like the backyard again say, this is serious because it's deja vu. We have to be careful. We have to be careful that we don't accuse God of things, saying He's incapable, that He's impotent, that He's sterile, when He's already proven Himself more than capable times before. That God has already proven that He's more than capable to handle where we are right now. And I'm saying this as a church, as a ministry, and then on a personal level, that God has already proven that He can handle your current set of circumstances and situations. So that's one. Then we also have to be careful that we don't get so in our feelings that we make a mistake or make a decision and make it about us instead of God's glory. Because, man, when I read the story, I'm thinking, man, they done worried poor Moses to death. Literally, like literally, it caused Moses to miss out. That we can be in our feelings so much that we can respond in such a way that's only concerned about me, myself, and I, that causes me to miss what God is doing, to disobey what God has told me to do, and redirect people's attention from God to me. And when we do that, we are in danger of contaminating people's view of God and his glory. And God told Moses, I can't have that. I've been with you way too long. I've done way too much for you not to hallow my name. And this is one of those passages of scripture, one of those stories in the Bible that ought to make all of us cautious. That ought to it should serve as a warning to all of us, that when we find ourselves in certain, and it's going to, whatever we're experiencing, we're liable to experience it again to a greater degree of difficulty or whatever the level is going to be. We have to be careful that we don't hem God in to a certain set of circumstances and or location, or time period. That one of the things that the Lord really blessed me with was that he reminded me, if I bless you in Kentucky, if I bless you in Tennessee, if I bless you in Texas, what makes you think I can't do it in Florida? What makes you think that my arm is somehow shortened, that I can't move in a different place the same way I moved in the place you were just in? God was like, don't play me like that. Don't play me like that. And as it pertains to Moses, man, don't, and this reminds me of Brother Allen, because I was a little rambunctious back in the day, and I was very reactionary. And I used to get hot mad and say things at times that I probably shouldn't have said. And only a fool vents his whole heart. And I remember dealing with, and Brother Allen, I guess he saw that we were having a conversation one day, and he was telling me about something he was going through on his job at his work. And he basically said, I told the guy, you know what? You go ahead and do you, and I'm gonna do me. But I'm not gonna let you stop me from doing me. He said, I'm not gonna let, he said, don't allow other people to get you out of character. Because when you do, that's when you've lost. And Moses got out of character. Moses responded in frustration. He responded in his feelings. And as a result of it, the Lord removed him. Like, the Lord literally removed Moses because Moses got in his feelings. Ouch. That should serve as a warning to all of us. Both of these things. The first one is that if God has done it before, he can do it again. We get so caught up in limiting God on what's familiar and what we knew, that what we have previously known, that when God does something new, we somehow like to limit what he can do in our lives. That's one. The second thing is, um, be careful. Be careful that we don't make our feelings more of a priority than God's glory. And Moses did that. And God was like, Moses, you can't go. I said, hot dog. He said, Moses, you can't go. Moses, you can't go to the next level. Moses, you're not included because you did not hallow my name in the presence of the people. Moses got in his feelings and he missed out. Um, our feelings will get in the way of our faith just about all the time if we're not careful. And unfortunately, that's what happened to Moses. Him and those people, the whole generation, with the exception of Joshua and Caleb, they all died in the wilderness and they did not make it to the next thing, the next phase that God was doing. And let that serve as something to us, a reminder for us. And this is just it's just this morning I said, man, that's serious. That is real serious. That we have to continue to trust God, and we have to continue to know that he can bring water from the rock, and that we can't get in our feelings because the glory belongs to him and him alone. And God ain't sharing it with nobody. He's not, understand something, church. Um, He ain't sharing it with nobody. Me, you, no one else. All the glory belongs to him. And whenever we make it more about us than we do about God, um, he said, I ain't happy. I ain't happy. And if nobody else is scared of this passage, I am. I'm extremely, extremely, and I think that we have gotten away from this as a people and as a culture. I am extremely, extremely terrified of this passage of scripture, of passages like this, where God, he's like, you know what? That's it. I've had enough of your attitude. I had enough of your lack of faith. I've had enough of your feelings. Um, that's it, man. That is like, and we don't talk about God in these terms. We don't discuss him like this. And unfortunately, what that has done, it has created a lot of powder puff Christians and believers that were always stuck on the wrong things. And God is basically saying, I ain't having it. Like when you read this, especially in the scene where Moses he dies, it's like, man, I remember Jennifer was telling me about it one time when she was going through and she was reading it. She's like, man, it actually made me cry. I said, it's tough. It's tough. So in your time, if you can read Numbers chapter 20 and the whole book of Numbers as a whole, it just highlights the failures of the people of God and their lack of faith in God, and how they just missed out on God, you all. In church, I'm saying this to us because we need to realize that God has been too good for us not to trust and believe him. And I'm not just saying it as the church corporate, I'm talking about even in your personal life. God has been too good to you for you not to trust and believe in him. And so that's what we do. That's what we're going to do. And I got to get these jokers, these kids to school. So um, this you had to pray on your own, but faith, the lack of faith on the people, and Moses getting his feelings, caused them to fall short. And so we definitely want to make sure that we trust God, and we definitely want to make sure that we don't get so caught up in our feelings that we want to rob God of his glory and bringing the attention to ourselves versus on him where it belongs. So I'm gonna let y'all be blessed. I'm gonna let y'all have a good one. I got to get these children off to school, and y'all be blessed. And just chew on this because uh, I was chewing on this morning, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and share this because this was in my shanana this morning. It's the truth. It's the truth. So don't let them folk on your job make you act out of character and miss your blessing. Amen. Mess up what God has done for you. And don't let somebody else's lack of faith cause you to miss the look forward to the miracle at the rock when there's a need. So you guys be blessed. You have a good one. And I will see you all again on tomorrow morning. Y'all be blessed.